I've set myself a toy hunting challenge for my upcoming trip to Japan for Star Wars Celebration. Now I've made a list of 20 Star Wars Black Series figures that I do not have in my collection, and I'm going to randomly select 5 of them, and they are going to be the main bounties that I am searching for on my trip. Why not all 20? Well, that would retail for around $1,000 Australian, and I'm not willing to spend that kind of money on toys on a holiday. Now there are a ton of things I want to do in Japan: Disneyland, Disney Sea, Universal Studios, Star Wars Celebration itself. I want to visit the temples and shrines and Torii Gate, see the Godzilla Hotel, Pokemon centers, and of course, toy hunting. As you can see, I collect Star Wars Black Series figures, and in the lead up to Celebration, I made myself a promise to not buy any until we went to Japan in order to save a little bit of extra money for the trip. Full disclosure, I broke my rule. I did manage to pick up Mara Jade for about $12 very recently. It was too good of a deal to pass up, but yeah, let's continue. So for fun, I decided to set this challenge for myself and made a list of 20 Black Series figures I'd like to hunt down while I'm in Japan. Now look, could I buy these figures here in Australia or online for cheaper? Probably, but that's not the point. That's not as fun. Where's your sense of adventure and whimsy? Hunting them down in the wild is half the fun for me. So when we get to Japan, I'm free to buy whatever Black Series figures I want, but there's just one problem. Japan doesn't really sell a whole lot of Black Series action figures. Here's the thing, Hasbro products are not super in demand in Japan. Companies like Bandai and Takara Tomy are way more established there, especially with the latter holding the license for things like Transformers toys in Japan, while Hasbro has it for the US market. So Hasbro, who makes figures like Black Series and Marvel Legends, has a lot less of a foothold in Japan, making these figures a little bit harder to come by, but not impossible. So of the 20 figures, I decided that I would whittle it down to just 5, and those would be the main targets of the toy hunt. But which 5 do I pick? Well, I've put the 20 figures I want into this wheel, and we're going to spin it 5 times to see which figures I'm going to focus on. Now I've got a decent range of figures here that I don't have. I've got a lot of clones on this list, a couple of deluxe figures, a couple of exclusives that may not even be in the country at all, and the rest. So here we go, time to spin the wheel. Alright, let's do it. Spin number 1. Ooh. Commander Cody, alright. Clone Commander Cody. Now I purposely included a lot of common figures on the list just so I'd have a better chance at finding some, and this is a great first pick for me because Cody has been released and re-released several times. Originally out in 2015, Cody was re-released in the Archive series in 2021, and again this year for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, giving me 3 whole possible versions of him to find. Alright, we're going to shuffle and do spin number 2. What do we got? Ezra from Rebels. Okay, a little bit harder than Cody, I think. I sort of decided to mishmash my Rebels Black Series. I've got Kanan from the old release wave, Chopper from the new Rebels wave, and decided to just use Hera and Sabine from the Ahsoka wave for their figures. I do have the Ezra from the Ahsoka wave, but in all honesty, he is one of the few figures that I'd actually regret buying. I'm just not a big fan of it. It's barely in the show. I wish they'd done his Paradia version instead, so I'm certainly looking to get his original Rebels version. And this one was originally released in 2019 with a re-release in 2020, giving me 2 possible versions. Alright, shuffle number 3. Fives? Oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, I'm kind of cheating for this one. When I look at my Black Series shelves, I have some major missing figures there, one of which is I don't have a single variant of Obi-Wan Kenobi. He has a few different versions out there. I think I'd like to get the Episode 3 version or the Clone Wars versions, but honestly, I'll take what I can find. I would even accept the Padawan Episode 1 version, which has been released several times by now. It's cheating a little bit, but I'll probably take any version that I can find, making this figure the most likely one to get. Shuffle, and let's spin again for number 4. What we got? Oh, Grievous, that's gonna be expensive. No! Sol. Alright, Master Sol from the Acolyte. Master Sol. Yes, I am one of the people that enjoyed the Acolyte. Sue me. So far in my Acolyte Black Series collection, I've only got Jeki and Yord. Look out for their prequel novel later this year. I'm waiting for price drops on most of the others before I pick them up, but one that I haven't seen in the wild yet is Jedi Master Sol. I've asked a few stores and they've all told me that he pretty much sells out right when they put him on the peg the same day, which is kind of surprising to me. Now this is a figure that is probably easy to get on Amazon or online, I'm sure, but like I said before, where's the fun in that? So we will be on the patrol for Sol in Japan. Alright, shuffle and spin number 5. Who's our last figure that we're looking for? Cardinal. Ooh, Zeb Orrelios. Ooh, that could be a problem. And just like I want the original Ezra to fill out the Ghost Crew, I am also looking for our boy, Zeb Orrelios. Now, Zeb was only released in the Rebels wave in 2020, and I have never seen it in the wild or online for a decent price, to be honest. I'm not at all confident in finding this figure, but we'll see how we do. So, with all that said, the only thing really left to do is go to Japan. That was quick. Now I'm in Japan. We're going to go have a look around a little bit and see what we can find. This way. So this was our first day in Tokyo. We headed out into the city to start having a look around. I had some bookmarked places, and the first stop was Red Mercury. And after getting up 4 flights of incredibly narrow and like really deceptively like long stairs, I was out of breath when I got to the top of this, but we reached Red Mercury, which had the most Black Series I've ever seen in one single place. Like, this store was amazing. It's in Ueno. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. They had so many figures, and it was great. I could have spent an hour or 2 in here just looking through everything. They had so much stuff, old stuff, new stuff, and I thought this was like the best possible spot for me to start looking, to start filling out the collection and getting stuff for this toy hunt. There was a lot of good stuff there. There was stuff that I had on the original list of 20, but not the 5 that I was looking for. They did have Ezra from the new Ahsoka series, which is not the one I'm looking for. I was looking for the Rebels one. They had a lot there, and I was just sort of overwhelmed by looking through them all and deciding which ones I wanted to get. And then I realized that I can't even see any of the ones that are on my list. I did see a Doc Onda, which was on the list of 20, but it's not one of the 5 I was looking for. But I did eventually spot a Jedi Master Sol, the first one I have seen in the wild. So I picked that one up, and then I just kept looking around a little bit more. And there were so many things I wanted to get. I was thinking about getting a Bakara as well, and I eventually spotted an Obi-Wan, the Padawan, from episode 1. So I decided to grab that one as well. So 2 off the list on the first go, but this store was amazing. Red Mercury in Ueno. You have to climb a lot of stairs to get there, but it's worth it. There is just so much Star Wars stuff. Like, this store is legitimately half Star Wars stuff, and you have to check it out. It's amazing. They had a whole bunch of the old retro figures, and they were like maybe $10 each. I really wanted to get some of them, but I realized I had to be kind of sensible with how much I was buying because I have to get all this stuff back home in my luggage. But yeah, this store was incredible. Highly recommend you check it out. Okay, just went to Red Mercury in Ueno. Managed to get 2 of the 5 figures we're looking for, which is a pretty good start. Heading to the second shop now. I did manage to pick up an extra Grievous as well, so not a bad first start. But man, those stairs, that was a climb and a half. So we're gonna go to the next shop now. We went to this place out in, I think this was in Akihabara, called Yamashiroya or something like that. This place was cool. It had a lot of Marvel stuff, had a lot of gachapons outside. My girlfriend bought a couple of gachas, and I went inside, had a look around, and they had a little bit of Star Wars stuff, but not really anything that I was looking for. They only had a handful of Black Series figures, but none of which I particularly wanted. I did get some stickers and stuff here. That was kind of cool. But overall, this place didn't really have anything that I was looking for, which was a bit of a shame, but it was a very cool shop. We then headed out towards the Shibuya area. We wanted to go and have a look at a few shops out that way, stop for Starbucks for some coffee and tea. We walked across the Shibuya Scramble Crossing, which was a lot of fun. Just that crossing is insane. There are so many people crossing the road at the same time. Watching down from above is just so much fun. Just go there if you get the chance. It's a lot of fun. I wanted to head out to a shop called Toy Sapiens, which was sadly closed because they were going to be vending at Celebration.
So after one day in Tokyo, here is the haul so far. Now obviously Grievous is an extra. He was on the list, I think, but I just saw him and I couldn't pass it down because I barely see that one in Australia. Sol and an Obi-Wan, obviously we're both on the list. Now, I think we're off to actually a bad start, kind of, because Red Mercury was the place I was banking on having some of all of the figures, to be honest. I was like, I reckon I'll be able to get all of them there. Red Mercury not having Cody, Ezra, or Zeb really hurts my chances because I don't think I'm going to find those ones anywhere else. You never know, I might, but I feel like if Red Mercury didn't have the Rebels ones, no one will. But you never know. I'm going to keep looking today. We're going to go out to Akihabara later and have a little look around there. And yeah, I'm not doing this whole trip just hunting for toys. Obviously, we're doing a whole lot of other stuff in between me dragging my girlfriend to these shops. But yeah, that's what I got so far. Now I've got to unbox these guys so that they can fit in my backpack.
We then went out to Akihabara the next day and had a good look around there. There were a couple of shops, again, that were shut, some that just didn't have any Black Series figures at all. But we did go to a shop called Radio Kaikan, I think it was called. And after having a look around, I found a bunch of Mafex figures. There was some figure arts, these little cute things, don't know what they are, but there was some figures there. But I did eventually spot a little wall of some Black Series figures and decided to have a quick look around, and sadly none of the 5 that we were looking for on my list. I did find Sol there for a little bit cheaper than I already picked him up. I did want to get Bakara as well, but I decided not to, and I ended up getting Vanestra Rowe though to add to my collection, so I was pretty happy with that one as well. I also found these Star Wars gachas outside, picked them up, and got the Emperor and Vader. We then went to a shop called Mandarake and had a look around in there. They had a little bit of a selection, not a heap of stuff, but they didn't have any of the ones that I was looking for, again, sadly, but I did decide to pick up the Omega from Season 2 of The Bad Batch, because she was the only figure I don't have. So at this point, I had these 5 figures already bought, and I was still looking for these 3, Commander Cody, Ezra, and Zeb. Wasn't sure if I was going to find them, but thankfully there was a big event on this weekend called Star Wars Celebration, so I decided to have a look around there and see if I could find anything. Walking in, and the Hasbro booth was right at the front, and I thought, well, this is the place I need to go to immediately, because this is where the 6th secret figure, basically, that I want for this toy hunt, which was the Ronin and his droid Black Series figure, which was quote-unquote exclusive at Star Wars Celebration, but it is getting a wide release after this. But I really, really wanted that figure as well. So that's like the 6th one that I want. Sadly, they cut off the line for the Hasbro booth at like 9:40, which was like right after I got there. So I had to wait for the next day to go there, but I still had a look around. Annoyingly, they had a lot of stuff on display which I wanted to buy but wasn't actually for sale. They were just sort of showing them off. They did have a Commander Cody there in the new the new/old packaging, but I wasn't allowed to buy that one. And they also had the new Ezra as well on display there. I did find a booth at Robot, however, which is one of the stores that I wanted to go to, but it was further out of the way in Tokyo than we could make it at the time. We thought we might make it at the end of the trip if we had to come back, but they had a booth there at Star Wars Celebration, and they had a lot of Black Series figures. So I got in there as early as I could, and it was cramped. I had people below me, to the side of me, both sides of me. I had someone behind me. You could not move in this booth. It was so cramped, and I'm trying to look through these Black Series figures because they had a decent amount there, and I thought maybe I would be able to find something here. They had a lot of great stuff, not gonna lie, they had a lot of great stuff. There was some things I really, really wanted to buy, but I was just trying to see if they had any of the ones I was looking for. Did they have Ezra? Did they have Zeb? Did they have Commander Cody? They had a lot of cool clones, but all their clones were like well over $100, so I didn't end up buying any of those. But eventually, after looking for a while in very cramped conditions, I was on my hands and knees at one point because people were trying to move behind me and over me. Like, I can't understate how cramped it was in here, but eventually this happened.
Kidding. Holy shit. Oh.
I could not believe that I actually found Zeb in the wild at Star Wars Celebration. It is the first time I have seen this figure ever in the wild. I've only ever seen it online for like hundreds of dollars in Australia. It just does not, you just cannot find it here. And I was legitimately shocked that I found it. I thought that was the figure I would not be able to find, but I amazingly found it. I ended up picking up Rey as well, the Jedi Island Journey Rey as well at this booth. I went on and had a look. As you can see, there's the Clone Commander Cody at the Hasbro booth. They had a lot of cool stuff there. I ended up checking out another stall, which was Junk Shop Alliance, I think it was called. And they had a lot of cool Black Series figures there as well. Sadly, though, they did not have what I was looking for. So I did manage to find Zeb to tick him off the list, and I also picked up 3 other figures on that day, which was Rey, a Praetorian Guard, and Elo Asti from Force Awakens. Good morning, day 2, heading to the con a little bit earlier this morning to queue up. It's 7 AM at the moment, opens at 9. The plan is just to try and get to the Hasbro booth so I can get the exclusive Black Series from Visions. It didn't sell out yesterday. Hopefully I can get there. They cut the line off. I think it was around 9:40 when we got in yesterday, so hoping if I get here now it'll be a bit better. I'm not sure though, because Saturday is usually the worst day of any con, 3-day con, so we'll see. I did manage to get to the Hasbro booth and pick up the Ronin Black Series figure. I also got to go into the Celebration shop and pick up some other stuff there. But sadly, that was pretty much the last thing that I picked up at Star Wars Celebration. Filming just got too hard. There was too many people like crammed around the booths. There was no good time to go in there. So I sort of just called it quits after that. I'd been to every booth, I think, and I don't think I missed any. After that, Celebration sort of came to an end. Don't worry, I'll do some other videos talking about Celebration, but the toy hunt at Celebration came to an end. I did find Zeb, I did not find a Cody anywhere, I did not find an Ezra anywhere, but after that we traveled to Osaka, and we had a look at a couple of shops around there. There just weren't as many in the area for me that I could find. Not many had Black Series figures. I found a couple. I found a whole bunch of Acolyte ones at a Toys R Us. And then I went to another Mandarake store and had a look around. And again, this one had a decent amount of Black Series figures, but they just didn't have any of the ones I was looking for. Again, I was only looking for 2 at this point. Clone Commander Cody and Ezra Bridger from Rebels. But I just was not finding them, and I was pretty much ready to give up on it in Osaka, because again, there just weren't that many places to go there. But it was at this point that my girlfriend actually pointed out that if I just moved to the right a little bit and looked in the cabinet next to this one, I would find Clone Commander Cody. So I managed to get him. Now, the final toy shop that we went to in Osaka and in Japan was called Ademski, which was a second-hand collectible shop in Osaka. Now, unfortunately, they didn't allow filming inside the store, so I just have to tell you the story from here at this point because I forgot to film afterwards. But we went inside. They had a lot of repackaged toys. They had a lot of like second-hand stuff. It was a really cool store. It was very like overwhelming. And I started having a look around, and I found a lot of Marvel Legends, ones that some were just in plastic bags, some were in their original packaging. And I found a small section of Black Series figures, and I started looking, seeing if I could find Ezra Bridger. That was the last one I was looking for of the 5 I needed for the toy hunt. And I started looking, and then out of the corner of my eye, I spotted that red and black packaging from the old lines of Star Wars Black Series figures, and I saw that there was one from Rebels. And I was like, oh my god, I have to get it. I ran over, picked it up. It was like 25 bucks, I think. And I was like, yep, I'm buying it. Sadly, it was not Ezra Bridger, though. It was Sabine Wren, the original Rebels release for Sabine Wren, which I've wanted for a long time, and I did finally find it. It wasn't on the list, though, and it was not Ezra Bridger. So the toy hunt failed in a way. I got 4 out of the 5 that I was looking for in Japan, but I could not find an Ezra Bridger anywhere. I
could not find one. The only one I could find was the one that I already have up there from Ahsoka. They had the new one, the Paradia version, on display at Star Wars Celebration. It was not available for purchase. Same with the Commander Cody at Celebration. But everywhere I looked, I could not find an original Ezra Bridger. I wanted to go back out to Robot, which is where I found the Zeb at Star Wars Celebration, but we just ran out of time towards the end of the trip. We were in Tokyo for an extra day at the end, and I thought we could maybe take a trip out there, but it just would have taken too long. It was too far from where we were at. I was tired, my girlfriend was tired. I would have loved to have taken the trip out there, but it would have added like literally 2 hours to the day, and I couldn't do it at that point. I was exhausted. So sadly, only 4 out of 5, but I did come away with a decent amount of figures from this trip. I found more figures in Japan where Black Series aren't all that common. I went into a lot of shops which just had none at all. They might have had some Marvel Legends ones. I found a lot of Mafex figures and the Figure Arts ones, but Black Series just was not as common over there. But that being said, I still found more Black Series over there, I think, than I would here in Australia, especially in Newcastle, because they're just not that common. They're at like EB Games and Zing, but apart from that, they don't really show up many other places. So I still found more over there than I would have here. Price-wise, some of them I probably paid more than I should have. Some of them I got for really cheap. So I think it did sort of balance out in the end. If I'm going to be honest, I overpaid massively for the Ronin figure, because that is getting a wide release now, and it is much cheaper than it was at Celebration, but I was very caught up in the moment of wanting to get it at Celebration. I knew it was going to get a wide release, but I just wanted that thing then and there. I was just excited and drunk on the atmosphere of Celebration. So I'm going to go through what I got real quick, even though I've already said I did get Sabine Wren from Rebels, and of course I did finally get a Clone Commander Cody at the second last store that I checked at. The others are all just sitting in this plastic bag because I had to unbox them so that they would fit into my luggage, because I was just taking back a lot of stuff. But we have a Praetorian Guard. Obviously, I know that there's a new release one. That one was actually available for purchase at the Hasbro booth, but I just decided to get the old one for now. I did get Elo Asti, which I'm psyched at getting this one, to be honest. I don't know if I'm the only one that's really happy about this one, and I almost bought, because he was so cheap, I almost bought a Constable Zuvio, which is just a really funny character to me because he is not in the movie. I think his scenes were all cut. I think he might appear in the background of like one shot of The Force Awakens, but just the fact that he has an action figure and it was so common as well is just really funny to me, and I still didn't even pull the trigger on it. I kind of wish I had, but it was just funny to see. I saw about 3 or 4 of them while I was over there, and I feel like I should have bought one, because that character and its existence and the fact that it has a figure is just really funny to me. I did get Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't think I saw any Episode 3 ones while I was over there, because that's the one I mainly wanted. I did get Vanestra Rowe. Pretty happy to see her over there. Got her for below market price, I think. Still cannot believe I found Zeb. I legitimately am in shock that I did find Zeb over there. Did not think I'd be able to find him. First time I've ever seen it in the wild. And that's why I wanted to go to Robot, because they had him there at the Celebration booth, and I was like, maybe they have more in store, but we just didn't get the chance to get back out there because it was a lot further out than we were staying, and it just would have taken too long to get there. But pretty happy to get Zeb. I've got just Ezra to go with the Rebels now. What else did I get? This is, Omega Season 2, which I never got Season 1 of Omega, so I'm very happy to finally get an Omega for the collection. I got Grievous, who has a lightsaber embedded in him, which just fell out. Grievous, that's my first Grievous figure. Pretty happy to get him. I do believe it's the Battlefront version. And then Rey, Episode 8, Island Training, or Island Journey, I think it's called. I really wanted that figure as well. And of course, Master Sol from the Acolyte, another figure that I saw for the first time in the wild over in Japan. I never saw this on the shelf in Australia, which is insane to me. So yeah, that's what I got over there. Oh, and of course the actual, the big one, of course, the Ronin figure, which I really don't want to take out of the box because it's such a nice box. But yeah, I got him at Celebration. Very happy to get that one. And yeah, I don't know if I want to take it out of the box because it's just so nice. Japan was awesome. I'll do some more videos on Celebration soon. We got back to Australia on Thursday night. There was a whole thing with the plane on the return trip. We got turned around. We had to go back to the airport and stay an extra night basically because of our engine issue. But yeah, Star Wars Celebration, hunting down these toys was so much fun. I had the time of my life. Talk about it more in the future, but yeah, the toy hunt was incredibly fun. I do wish I filmed a little bit more, but it did get a little tedious after a while. But it was fun. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. I'm sorry it's not more cinematic or climactic or whatever, but it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you follow me here and over on TikTok. I'm going to try and get back into the swing of making some more regular videos. I've got to catch up on Andor. I've got a haul video to do of other Star Wars stuff I bought. So more stuff coming. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you follow me here, and may the Force be with you, always.